Tonight, Millhaven, Wild Bill Denver, WKRV 1150, the Rebel Frequency. And we're into a new day now. Here's what they don't want you to know. Let's get right to it, folks. Agent Voss's team resumed the search for that missing officer at first light tomorrow. That's still the plan, but I've got something new in the meantime. My contact tells me state investigators pulled financial records on Deputy Mayor Hell this evening, quietly, through a state judge rather than anything local, specifically because they don't trust local paperwork to stay local anymore. Smart move if you ask me, and nobody did, but I'll say it anyway. What they found, according to my source, is a series of payments going back years to a private security firm operating out of state. Name on the filing just reads Kessler Holdings. No public address, no listed owner. Folks, a deputy mayor personally funding an out-of-state private security operation off the books going back years. That is not petty cash for a Christmas party. That is a man who has been building himself protection for a long, long time. Like he knew someday somebody would come looking. Now, quick aside, because I want you to hear this and then I want to move on. Same as I'm moving on. Somebody left a photograph of me at my own front door tonight, taken through my kitchen window. No note, didn't need one. Folks, if whoever's behind this thinks a picture through my window is going to be the thing that shuts me up after everything else this city's been through this week, they have badly misjudged who they're dealing with. I've got Kessler Holdings to dig into now. That's where my attention's going. Wild Bill Denver, back at 1. WKRV 1150, the Rebel Frequency. a.m., Millhaven, Wild Bill Denver, WKRV 1150, the Rebel Frequency. Here's what they don't want you to know. Dug into that name from last hour, Kessler Holdings. And folks, I want to bring you what I found because it connects to something we've been circling since Saturday. Corporate filings show Kessler Holdings was registered 31 years ago. 31, folks. Same neighborhood as that gap in Deputy Mayor Hell's own paper trail I told you about yesterday. The one that starts in 1991 and goes nowhere before it. I don't believe in coincidences that line up that clean. My source at the state level tells me Agent Voss has now formally requested Kessler Holdings' full client list through a judge, same as the financial records. If that list comes back with other names on it, other cities, other quiet deputy mayors and city managers who've been in office a suspiciously long time, folks, we are looking at something a lot bigger than Millhaven. We may be looking at a pattern. I also want to update you. Search and rescue resumes at first light for that missing officer. Few hours from now. I'll be right here when they do. And folks, that car is back outside tonight. Same spot as before. I gave it a wave on my way in. Didn't wave back. Some people just have no manners. 2 a.m., Millhaven, Wild Bill Denver, WKRV 1150, the Rebel Frequency. Here's what they don't want you to know. Quiet on the scanner this hour, folks. First real lull we've had in a while. But I've been using the downtime to make calls, not sit on my hands. Got through to a records clerk in Delmore County, next state over, who owed me a favor from a story I ran years back. Asked her to run the name Kessler Holdings through their filings. She called me back 20 minutes ago, folks, and there's a match. Same company, registered as a secondary contractor on a, quote, private security consulting agreement, end quote, with a county government office out there. Different state, same shill, same quiet arrangement. That's 2 counties now, folks, 2 different states, both with unusually long tenured officials, both with the same private security money moving in the background. I asked my Delmore contact if the county official out there fit the same profile as hell. Long tenure, no real paper trail before a certain year. She went quiet on the phone for a second, then said, quote, "Why do you ask?" End quote. Folks, that's not a no. I think what we're circling here isn't one corrupt deputy mayor protecting one city's secret. I think we're circling an arrangement, spread wider than Millhaven, older than Millhaven's problems started. Whatever's been contained here for decades, I don't think Millhaven's the only place doing the containing. That car's still out there, by the way, starting to feel like part of the furniture. Wild Bill Denver, back at 3, WKRV 1150. Millhaven, Wild Bill Denver, WKRV 1150, the Rebel Frequency. Here's what they don't want you to know. Search and rescue is gearing back up out at the rail yard, folks. First light's still a couple hours off, but I'm told crews are staging early this time, and I want to tell you why. My contact with Agent Voss's team says they got a hit overnight from a thermal drone pass, something moving through the brush about a quarter mile past where that officer's cruiser was found. Too far out for last night's ground search to have covered. They're not calling it confirmed. They're not saying it's him, but they're treating it as the most promising lead since he went missing. I also want to bring you one more piece on Kessler Holdings, because my Delmore contact called me back a second time tonight. And folks, she sounded rattled in a way she wasn't the first time we talked. She told me she pulled the wrong file by accident, an older one, and found a list of what she called, quote, incident settlements, end quote, paid quietly to families over the years, going back decades. Always the same 3 or 4 law firms handling it. Always structured to avoid a paper trail that would ever connect one payment to another. Folks, that's not a security company. That's a cleanup operation, and it's been running a very long time. She hung up quick after that, said she needed to get off the phone. I don't blame her one bit. Wild Bill Denver, back at 4, WKRV 1150, the Rebel Frequency. Millhaven, Wild Bill Denver, WKRV 1150, the Rebel Frequency. Here's what they don't want you to know. Folks, I've got the update we've all been waiting on, and I'm relieved to tell you it's good news. Search and rescue found that officer alive about 40 minutes ago, out past the thermal hit I told you about last hour, roughly a quarter mile beyond his cruiser. He's banged up, my contact says, exposure and some cuts and bruises, but alive, conscious, and talking. And he's being taken to Millhaven General under what I'm told is a state police escort, not local, which tells you Agent Voss still isn't taking any chances with this department. Here's the detail that matters most, folks. My contact tells me the officer said one thing to the first responders who reached him before they even got him fully stabilized. He said, quote, "They didn't take me, I ran," end quote. ran, folks, not abducted. He ran on his own and hid for almost 24 hours rather than come back in through official channels. That tells me this man was more afraid of what he'd find back at that station than whatever was out in that brush. Agent Voss is reportedly heading to the hospital herself the moment he's stable enough to talk. I expect we'll finally get that on-record account we were promised yesterday, just a day late and a lot more frightening than any of us expected. Wild Bill Denver, back at 5, WKRV 1150, the Rebel Frequency. Good news before dawn, Millhaven. We'll take it. Millhaven, Wild Bill Denver, WKRV 1150, the Rebel Frequency. Here's what they don't want you to know. Officers stable at Millhaven General as of this hour, folks, resting under guard. And I do mean guard. My contact tells me it's state police posted outside his room, not local, around the clock. Agent Voss hasn't gotten her full interview yet. Doctors want him rested first, but she did speak with him briefly, enough to confirm he's asked specifically that whatever he tells her not be shared with local command until she's ready to act on it herself. Folks, a Millhaven police officer doesn't trust his own department to protect him. Sit with that a minute. I also want to close the loop on Kessler Holdings before I hand off to the morning crew. My Delmore contact hasn't called back since our conversation a few hours ago, and I've tried her twice myself with no answer. I don't want to jump to conclusions, folks. Could be nothing. Could be she's just asleep, like a reasonable person at 5 in the morning. But given everything else this week, I'll admit I don't love the silence. That's it for me overnight, folks. We found our officer. We're pulling a thread on something a lot bigger than Millhaven. And whoever's been leaving notes and photographs trying to get me to quit, well, I think this has been my best week of reporting in 30 years. So that plan isn't working out too well for them. Wild Bill Denver, signing off till my next hour. WKRV 1150, the Rebel Frequency. Stay tuned, Millhaven. We're just getting started.